Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad, here to talk about the Star Named EOS, which we were sent a code for from the publisher. It's a game that I didn't really know a whole lot about. I saw a trailer and it looked really pretty, and that was kind of the thing that kind of drew me in, and then I realized that it's kind of a game in the interactive, dramatic, walking around, vaguely puzzle adjacent, emotional story game that every now and then I really get into. The Star Named EOS is basically a point and click game, which I didn't actually expect that when I went in. I don't remember. Again, like I said, I saw the trailer, just kind of was like, ooh, this looks interesting. I want to check it out. So in this game, you start out in a bedroom and you get a letter from your mom, and you read the letter and there's a picture in that, and you have a camera, and basically you go through this process of recreating your mom's pictures by kind of assembling things in your room. So just kind of to put that in perspective, kind of the idea here is the first one is just a picture of your mom taking this picture out a train window. And so you kind of go with your window and you kind of try and frame it, and you kind of get like the curtains to look the same. You kind of put like on the shelf, you display it the same, and you recreate that picture. You do this a few times. That's kind of the basic loop of probably about the first 2/3 of the game is kind of trying to recreate these pictures. And you have a cursor on screen, you're stationary, you can kind of rotate all around the rooms that you're in or outside, wherever you happen to be. It leans more heavy towards puzzles than a lot of these. Now, I will say that I suck at puzzles. If you listen to our other stuff, I'm never good at puzzles. I was able to do all of these with the exception of two very specific ones that just threw me off, and I had to try and find some way to look them up. They were both later on in the game. One involved a little bit of Morse code, and the other one, it gave me a shovel, and I couldn't figure out what to do with the shovel. But for the vast majority of these, I was able to figure out, piece them together myself, which again, as somebody who sucks at puzzle games, I was a little worried at the beginning where I was like, ooh, okay, this is a bit more puzzle-based than I was expecting. But I was able to work my way through it with relative ease, again, with the two exceptions there. Most of the puzzles kind of take the kind of like discovery piece where you're looking around the room. You're finding different pieces of information that kind of build up to you maybe unlocking a box or maybe getting something out of something else. For example, one of them is kind of the traditional looking around for different numbers, putting those numbers into a locking mechanism, and then you put the numbers in the right way, it pops up. They do vary a lot with it. There's a couple interesting ones. There's one where you get a fish hook, and there's a key like stuck in like a grill that you would see at like a park, and you've got to like get the fish hook through. It's like almost like doing like a maze where you're trying to get from point A to point B with it, just kind of hook it around all the grates in the grill. So it does some creative things with the puzzles too, more than just the, hey, look, it goes star, sun, moon, put star, sun, moon in order. That's there. They do vary a little bit more. Because a lot of it is just kind of looking around for these pieces, these solutions to the puzzles, the game does have a lot of interesting stuff. We haven't really talked too much about the story yet, but it does a great job of just kind of giving you little extra pieces of tidbits and just kind of little, one sentence exposition about something else happening in the story that encourages you to look around a little bit more, gives you a little bit more of a feel for what's going on in the game. It does go through kind of much more of just kind of a walk the right direction, click on the right things, no real puzzles for maybe the last 10 to 20%, which is almost more what I was expecting the whole game. I was a little bit taken aback by the puzzles, like I said. All to say, I really enjoyed all of this. It's definitely not something that's in my wheelhouse, so to speak. Gameplay-wise, I'm not a puzzle game person. I'm not a point-and-click person. I just kind of kept going with it. They were interesting. They were simple enough, and I think that's what worked for me. Was it wasn't like, I'm going to bring up The Witness, one of Doug's favorite games, but The Witness, I just felt stupid as I was playing it, and this always taking me that, like, I can do this, I can figure this out, and I was always able to, which is nice for me. To get into the plot, so I don't want to say too much about it. I will say that it's very short. It took me right around 2 hours, I think. If you're actually good at puzzle games, I bet you could probably knock it out in 90 minutes or under. With that being said, I don't want to get too deep into the story. It's just kind of a general idea of what you're getting into here. It does start out as just kind of that cute, like, oh, I'm just sitting in my room, just, oh, look, like, I want to kind of recreate the feeling of like what my mom went to. My mom saw this. Okay. And then we go to the next place. And oh yeah, like when I was here, oh yeah, my mom saw this thing. So, ooh, okay, can I recreate this campsite that my mom made, and can I kind of use some of the stuff in the environment to recreate a picture of that? Kind of nice, just relaxing, like, oh, okay, I'm just kind of trying to puzzle these things together, trying to make these pictures, trying to get a sense of where my mom was. And the whole story is talking about how your mom has gone, you were supposed to go stargazing with her, and that was kind of your big thing that you were building up to, is a stargazing trip with your mom. And as these games do, you kind of have that big emotional swing coming where you go kind of realize, 25% through that, okay, there's more to the story of what's going on with my mom and where I'm going and how I'm putting these things together and why that works and why I'm doing that. It feels really, really personal too. So I don't know, indie team, I don't know how many people worked on this, but it definitely has that feeling of like, okay, this was very personal to the person who created it, which I think that always takes a game just kind of that extra half level up, and just, it's like, okay, man, I can feel kind of the passion for what you're talking about. I can feel what you're going through. I can feel why this game's being made. It also, and again, I won't be specific, but it does have kind of a nice turn to the end too, a little bit. So you kind of get that kind of emotional roller coaster of like, oh, it's just kind of a cute game, some tragedy, and then there is some bright spots that come out in the end, which I think sometimes that a lot of these games that are just kind of these emotional, moving you through the story game, they don't necessarily have that big swing towards the end back up a little bit. This one does to a certain extent, and it feels earned. It feels really good. The way it works is just really nice. It just kind of complements everything else that you've been doing. I really enjoyed it. It also just artistically is very, very beautiful. Like I said, the trailer, just seeing it is kind of what drew me in originally and kind of made me interested in this. There's great music. It's all voice acted very well. Just everything about this game is just really, really well done. It's 2 hours. I had a great 2 hours, just a great night, just kind of trying to dive into this a little bit. If you have that interest in those types of stories in games, those types of feelings that you get from games, I think it's definitely something that is worth checking out. The point and click thing I could see being a huge turnoff to people. Even me, I kind of just got a little shaky. I thought, ooh, I have to move the cursor around. Uh-oh. Ooh, there's puzzles. Uh-oh. But I do think it's one where it's manageable enough that even if you do suck at puzzle games as I do, you can make your way through, and there are resources for the one or two puzzles that really threw me off. We are Workforce Gaming. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to our channel. There's a link to support us on Coffee as well. We'll see you later.